Hey, sorry for the interruption, but we wanted to let you know that this week's episode is brought to you by Spotify for Podcasters. Really cool app. Josiah and I use it for every single show that we bring to you every week. You can edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so you can start creating as soon as you log into the platform. You can easily distribute your podcasts to Spotify and everywhere else the podcasts are heard, just like we do every single week. You can also create video podcasts on Spotify, which is really cool. And of course, you can earn money like I'm doing right now by including ads and even podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. There's no catch. We really love it. We use it every single week. So we encourage you to go download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, let's get back to the show.
Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting, entertaining, informative, and dad joke filled, especially this episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Good to be with you all again. And Travis, good to see you, man. How have things been going? You are even further removed from Florida. Has the post-vacation syndrome moved on from you, or are you still stricken with images of the beach whenever you close your eyes?
B. Yeah, I'm still really, really, really longing for Florida. However, we have a mutual friend who is attempting to travel to Florida and has been for a couple of days now. And
I saw that.
Has had a really tough time with the whole, they were flying Southwest and then, it just got really crazy. So both my wife and I, like she has looked at me multiple times and said, I am so glad we went. When we went, because it was
exactly.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah,
we actually had a vacation.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I know who you're talking about, and we chatted. Her and I chatted for a little bit. You know, they're trying to get to their destination, and man, it sounds like it is just a complete cluster in the Southwest. Hopefully, they're able to maybe laterally move over to another airline that's not having such incredibly large service shortages. That's the phrase I was looking for. But yeah, man, it's a good time to not be traveling Southwest right now. Right. That's for sure. Which you and I love traveling Southwest. That's like my go-to. My saying is Southwest, South Best. I seriously don't like any of the other airlines that much. So hopefully they get this all straightened out by the time you and I potentially go to California, which God, I would hope so. That's a ways from now. So anyway, man, it is good to be back here. And for you listening, we are not going to get into the weekly dad joke before the interview, but you'll know why. But I will tell you. Let me give you a little teaser here, listeners. This is the only dad joke that we've put on the show that has actually rendered me inaudible because I was laughing so hard when I found it. I tried to tell Travis the joke and I had to restart thrice times because I could not get it out. I was laughing so hard. So it's worth the wait. But because the reason why we're waiting is because we have a guest who fancies himself almost a dad joke connoisseur, as it will. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about the main event before we go straight into the interview? But we're talking with Chris Grant, a person you've known for quite some time. I think I've met him in a couple of the RMRCs that you were doing. Yeah. But he's a great guy to talk to. But tell him, a little bit about who he is without, giving away the farm and what you're looking forward to most in the interview.
Yeah. Chris Grant is, he's well known in the Amazon space, maybe not in the print on demand space, but he's well known in the Amazon space. He's created some, different pieces of software, or maybe, some extensions. I actually have one of his extensions we don't talk about in the episode. It's called Rev ROI. And it's basically an extension, a Chrome extension that can, if you're on a web page, say I'm on Walmart.com. It'll show me all of the rebate sites for Walmart.com. It's really cool. I think it's free, but it may have a cost now, but he's done some things like that. He's currently, doing OA challenge, which we'll get into in the interview. He doesn't actually sell print on demand currently, which may shock some of the listeners. But I think that he's knowledgeable enough in e-commerce that he will, be able to share some cool things with our listeners and just kind of get some good ideas, some fresh ideas for how to capitalize on print on demand. So I'm excited to introduce Chris Grant to our audience.
Yeah, 100%. If you're listening and you're tempted to tune out because you heard he doesn't sell a lot of POD, I encourage you to not do that, because we're going to get into some stuff in this interview that we'll talk about in the outro that are ideas of generating revenue that you probably haven't thought of. Because in the interview, I myself say that is a really cool approach to print on demand. Because Chris is a marketer. He knows how to market. That's what he does. And he's very good at teaching it. He's very good at explaining. And so I don't want to keep talking about it. I just want to take you guys to this week's main event, our interview with Chris Grant.
It's the main event. It's the main event. Oh, it's the main event. It's the main event.
All right, Travis, it's time for this week's main event, our interview with Chris Grant. Now, for those listening who don't know who Chris is, here's a little bit about Chris before we bring him on. He is the world's okayest Amazon seller. I feel like that needs to be put on one of those Dundee trophies, maybe, or something like that, and presented to him. Maybe that's already been done. I don't know. But he's the world's okayest Amazon seller, digital entrepreneur, and dad joke enthusiast. And because of that, we're going to save the weekly dad joke for Chris when he's here on the show joining us. So everybody, please welcome Chris Grant to the Print on Demand cast. Chris, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate the invite and you being willing to share the airwaves with me.
Oh, absolutely. We love sharing airwaves with fellow dad joke enthusiasts in particular. So you fit the mold right off the bat. So with that being said, we're actually going to have you in on this week's weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
All right. So here's a dad joke. We all know, scriptures, and, Travis and I have a background in church. And so, I realized that the Lord said unto John, "Come forth, and you shall have eternal life." But John came fifth and won a toaster. And that's this week's weekly dad joke. And I got to tell you, this one in particular, before we pressed record, rendered me inaudible. I was laughing. I could barely tell the joke to Travis it
was great
when I found it. So that one, I'll tell you, that is a winner. That's gold. So, Chris, tell us, as you're a dad joke enthusiast, what is your favorite dad joke? We'll do two of them this week.
Oh man, I don't have a favorite, but I will tell you the one that I used to make a gas station attendant laugh because they put me on the spot. I was wearing a shirt that was print on demand that said that I was a dad joke enthusiast, and so the gas station attendant says, "Okay, you got to tell me a dad joke." I said, "All right." I said, "What does a janitor say when they come out of their closet?" Supplies.
Okay.
Love it. Yeah, you passed. That's a great dad joke. I love it. We should have
good job,
all of our guests from now on tell us a dad joke live on air. I think
that's a good idea.
I think Chris has set a precedent. I like it.
Well, Chris, Now, we just brought you onto our show, and like nobody knows who you are, and you're already telling dad jokes, and we're laughing together. And we go way back. Obviously, we've known each other for several years now through e-commerce, and but our audience doesn't know who you are. So, I kind of want to bring them in a little bit closer so they understand that you're a pretty cool dude, and you know what you're talking about when it comes to marketing and e-commerce and all that stuff. So, why don't you kind of share with our listeners like how you got into e-commerce, maybe a little bit about yourself, and just kind of tell us the Chris Grant story?
Sure. So I have been self-employed since I was 18. I started out as an insurance agent and in a family business. I was going to take over, and that was the life plan. But corporate had another idea, and they said, you know what, we don't do that anymore. And so I wanted to find something different. And then we had a kid, and I was like, this going to an office every day is kind of the pits. I really don't want to have to do that. And so I started looking for other things. And to be honest with you, I got started drop shipping on eBay. And that was the very first kind of foray I had into e-commerce. And I realized that it wasn't sustainable long term, just due to the fact that I had to stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning to make sure all these orders got out. And back then I was very limited with my capital and things. And so I tried to figure out some other things. And so drop shipping on eBay kind of led me down the path to, here's Amazon. And I heard a podcast about Amazon selling, and that kind of led me to Chris Green and Nate McAllister, and then I met you, and it all kind of just a light bulb flipped on. So we started doing retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, and then I've always kind of been somebody who, as I learn something, I'm gonna share that. I know that if I learn it and then I teach it, I'm probably going to know it good enough that I could actually make some money at it or actually remember it. And so then I just start sharing what I'm learning, and that's turned into, helping out in groups and doing some affiliate marketing via teaching and, some courses and all of that stuff, which has been in the absolute most rewarding thing that I've probably done in my life is teaching other people how to make money or make more money in their own business. And so it's been a fun ride, man. Yeah.
Well, I know one of your kind of flagship things that you've done is teamed up with Nate McAllister on the OA Challenge, and we'll actually talk about that a little bit towards the end. You've been really kind of focused on that, but what are some of the other things? Like, where is your business at today? What do you do all day long? What takes up your time in your daily business?
Sure. So, we do still sell on Amazon, not as much as we used to, but still enough to cover the bills. That's the whole point. That's our, if everything else went away, I know that my bills are still covered by what we sell on Amazon. And other than that, we do the OA Challenge. So that takes up a portion of time, just making sure that, our customers are taken care of, and not customer, our tribe. It's grown into more than just a customer relationship. I also have a what I call a VIP group, and any questions, concerns that those folks have, they're my people. They get first crack at my time. We do a twice a week, live where we're learning something new. I'm always trying to tinker with things. So if I, figure something out or someone says, hey, what do you think about this? I try to put a twist on it and see how it can make things easier, faster, better. And so whenever I figure something out, I share it immediately with those folks. And outside of that, other than that, we do a little bit of sourcing. We spend a lot of time answering emails and people's questions. I get a ton of DMs every day. Hey, what do you think of this? Can I get your opinion on this? And so that's where a bulk of my time is spent.
That's awesome. So tell us, you mentioned, you do a lot of teaching, but what do you feel are like unique qualifications that you bring to the table in this space that you're in, whether it is with the OA Challenge or, you mentioned you even started drop shipping on eBay. But what do you feel like you bring to the table to these businesses, to these things that make you qualified to kind of be in that space?
Sure. So without sounding braggy or anything, but I think
Humble
that I have a unique ability to take something that can seem complex. For example, Keepa. We've all used it. It's most people get it at a surface level, but there are 10 more layers to what you can do with Keepa, and I've tried to break it down and decode it, and I'm able to relay that information in a way that even my son can kind of understand it at 8 years old.
Sure.
And so I think that's what my unique ability is, and so I'm able to take these concepts that seem difficult, seem insurmountable, and a lot of people would come up against them and say, you know what, that's too much. I've got too much going on, and we make it easier to get over that hurdle. So that's really what I try to focus on.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Awesome. My brother-in-law used to always say when he was explaining things to me, he'd always say, "How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time." Because he had that same ability to put it into bite-sized pieces so you can get a bigger understanding of what the larger thing is. But that ability is definitely well needed, because it's something that I'm not super great at myself, because I get too caught up in the bigger picture, and instead of breaking it down granularly for people to consume and understand the purpose of the greater purpose of the product, or what the greater value is that they can get out of that thing, like Keepa, for instance, that they're using.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think particularly in with teaching, that's an awesome skill to have.
Yeah,
and it makes people. I mean, I've known you for a long time, so I do know that you have a natural gift for just helping people too. It's not just that you can, but you also actually enjoy it. You even mentioned earlier that it's giving you a lot of fulfillment. Now, obviously you're on the Print on Demand cast. We talk about print on demand here. I don't want to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. You actually don't do any print on demand currently. You had a Merch by Amazon account, but it got canceled. Do you know the reason, just as an aside? Do you know why it got canceled? Or are you kind of one of those people that just has no freaking idea?
Arbitrary, yeah.
I mean, I could say that I have no idea, because Amazon didn't say, hey, this is why your account is canceled. But I had, Chris Green's been a friend for a long time. I'm just going to start name dropping the rest of this episode. But fine. Chris Green's been a friend for a long time, and he was like, "Listen, merch is here, hop on." So I was there, like in the Wild West, and we didn't know what was okay and what wasn't, and I really tread that. I rode that line pretty hard.
Okay,
so I probably deserved it. So yeah, I had my account canceled. When we were doing well, I think at one point we were up to maybe 5,000 or 6,000 a month in royalties.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, we were hustling the merch by Amazon. And
how did that feel when all of that went away? Because at that point you didn't have the OA challenge. You didn't have kind of, I guess you were still probably selling on Amazon and perhaps on eBay or some other online channels. But how did that feel when all of a sudden $5,000 just gets, in not revenue, in actual profit, just got ripped away from you? How did that feel?
Oh yeah, that was a punch in the gut for sure. I did not enjoy that at all. And I had to fire a US based, part-time employee. Because I was having him do, research, and he was managing a VA who was creating designs. And I was like, we're out of business, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Wow.
There's a good ending to his story. He went on and I talked him out of going to college and starting a business, and he went on to do well for himself.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was a huge punch in the gut, and I probably should have fought a little bit harder, but I decided that I would just double down on our Amazon business and not let it stop me from, wouldn't let it stop me from being my own boss.
Sure. So people are probably wondering, well, he doesn't do print on demand. Why is he on your show, Travis? Josiah, what are you guys doing? But there is a method to our madness, I think. We have talked, Chris, you and I have talked a lot on, we've talked a lot just in general, but I remember we talked back when Clubhouse was kind of really getting going, and at least it was to me. And we both sat in and talked a little bit about some ways to use POD in marketing. And there was somebody that was talking on stage, and we got really interested. In fact, we had a long conversation. I think we called each other on Facebook, right afterwards, and had probably another 20-minute conversation about how we could use what we heard on Clubhouse with print on demand and with marketing. And so you mentioned building a tribe and using print on demand to build a tribe. So let's get started with that kind of concept. Would you explain that to us? What does it mean to use print on demand to build a tribe?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that I envision it, in my head is, well, first of all, let's talk about what your tribe. If you are someone who teaches or sells, a digital product of some sort, or some sort of membership, you're in the business of finding like-minded people to come and be with you and buy your products, and you better make sure they're good. Okay, I would like to say that first of all, but you are building a tribe, and people like to show off what tribe they belong to. It's just the way of human nature. For example, my son's school, you join the PTA, you get a T-shirt, and we all wear the T-shirt when there are meetings or school functions or things like that, because we want to show this is one of our tribes. Mm-hmm. And you should be doing that for your business, for your tribe, because people they buy in more, and they want to show other people, oh yeah, you know what, I am, for example, with the OA Challenge, they are challengers. I am a challenger. And we have things like, one of the things that we talk about a lot in the OA Challenge is embracing the suck. I mean, so much so that there are several people who have it as their phone screen background.
Yeah.
And so if you make things that people want to actually wear on a shirt, like embrace the suck, or I have an OA Challenge T-shirt that I give to people are happy to wear it and talk about it, and it makes them feel much closer to your tribe than if you don't have, that T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone is, it kind of goes to everyone's looking for some place to belong, or like you said, these people that are like-minded. And I think shirts definitely, or any merch, water bottles, bracelets, whatever it is that you can provide to help them feel kind of patched in. It's kind of like that motorcycle gang, like, hey, I got my patch, I got my shirt, I got, whatever it is. I am now a part of that OA Challenge Club. It's no doubt about it. No, the only way to get this shirt is when you embrace the suck, and I embraced it, and now I have the shirt. So can people that don't sell digital products use this idea of building a tribe? And can you give us an example of what that would look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a guy by the name of Trey Llewellyn. And I don't know if you guys know of him or have heard of him, but he sells mostly physical products, but he doesn't do it on Amazon or anything like that. He does it all through, he'll either do a funnel like ClickFunnels, or maybe a Shopify site or something like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times the buy-in, the first thing that you're, given the opportunity to buy is a T-shirt. And he'll pick different verticals. Maybe it's in the maybe it's in the Second Amendment vertical, people who are into firearms and, the Second Amendment, things like that. That might be one space that he moves into. And so there will be a shirt is the very first thing. And then further on down the funnel, well, maybe it's a gun cleaning kit. And then it's a membership to the Second Amendment Foundation or something like that. Well, that could be done in just about any vertical. There's another guy who does something very similar in the barbecue niche, and so the first shirt is, I like to barbecue or whatever, something nice and catchy. And then it's a barbecue, I don't know, maybe it's a custom barbecue cleaning set. And then it's a membership into the meat of the month club or the barbecue club where we talk about smoking meat and here are new recipes to try. So I think there's a tons of ways where you could use POD to bring people into the very front stage of becoming a member of your tribe.
Yeah, and I guess POD would be kind of almost a proof of concept to be more cost efficient too, as far as cost wise, because if you get the people in that buy the shirt, then you have that information that they're in, and then you can sell them that physical product that might cost you more to invest than a print on demand t-shirt. You might have to, pony up some more money to get those products to sell. But I will say that that's a pretty fascinating strategy, something that I don't know that I necessarily have thought of. I do a lot with it. We do a lot with influencer marketing and working with influencers, but that particular idea, going after those verticals like that, and then getting more products to follow that is pretty fascinating.
Yeah. I'll tell you what fascinates me so much about like his business model is that's part of the reason it's cheap. You can, you make a design and you decide what product it's going to be on. Yep. And then you have a company or somebody be ready to do the POD for you. Yep. And then on the second product, the upsell, a lot of times he'll actually arbitrage the product from a place like Walmart. Maybe the gun cleaning kit is a Walmart product and he doesn't go buy them until he actually has them sold.
Sure.
Or
if it's a barbecue, type of thing, he goes and he buys it and he brings it to his engraving POD guy, and the POD guy puts, barbecue master group or whatever on it, the name of his group or something like that. There's a lot of different ways I think you can go with that. I think one thing that Josiah, you touched on, I think for our listeners, you don't have to like bite this whole thing off and go, oh man, I'm going to now do this and I'm going to go, figure out how to do a funnel and, and build an audience and then go buy something. You could find somebody who's already doing that, who's already, a marketer, and just assist them maybe just on the POD piece, or maybe a couple of products into their funnel to where, because that's basically what it is. It's a funnel, the t-shirt or the coffee mug or whatever is at the top, and the products, maybe they don't get more expensive, but usually they kind of do, or more, because you're seeing who's going to kind of keep following and traveling down that funnel, right, Chris?
Who's fully bought in.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to see who's going to travel down that funnel, and then those people are going to be the people that you reach out to for future products, or maybe your really high end products down the road once they've kind of bought into your tribe,
Yeah. I think too, Travis, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my thought is you talking about for our listeners going and partnering with a marketer or someone in marketing to provide that kind of POD piece or for those funnels, because I would venture to guess that probably this might be an idea that a lot of people aren't thinking about, because when we went to Portland for the first time we ever kind of were around the print industry, a lot of those guys didn't know what it meant or what the value was to even sell online, period. They were just blown away. Do you sell on Amazon? Why would I do that? Okay, next booth. Do you sell on Amazon? Why would I sell on Amazon? Okay, next booth. Almost to the person, they were just like, no, we don't. So, and because print on demand is such a new, relatively new venture and technology, I can guarantee there's marketers out there that either have thought of the idea, but it's too cost effective to go to a screen printer and get this stuff done up in bulk to sit on to possibly sell, or B, they haven't thought of the idea in general. So I think it's a really cool kind of foot in the door where you don't have to figure out the whole pie. You can just put the whipped cream on top and have yourself a pumpkin pie.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, I mean, if this is something that you do want to, kind of jump in with both feet, there's some things that you would need to kind of invest in, at least up front. One of them would be some type of email capture, software or something like that. But I do know, we were talking about this a little bit before, because if you've ever listened to anything on marketing, you've heard the phrase, the money is in the list. And what that's referring to is the email list, of course. And there's like metrics that, based on, if I have this many people, I get X many dollars per email I sent based on the number of people I have. And it's literally a formula that marketers use. But I think what happens, or what can happen, is that people hear that and they get really excited and they're like, okay, I got to build a list. I got to build it fast. And I need thousands of people, because then every person I have on my list, every time I send an email, I'll get X cents, or $1.50, or whatever that number is. And so they get really excited without kind of figuring out the long term, that funnel that we talked about. And so, Chris, I wondered if you could speak to that a little bit, and maybe kind of an order of operations, if you will, for how to build this out. How do you build a funnel? Where are the things you need to fall, or where are the things you need to focus on at first, and then second and third, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. So the first thing is, there will be some technology pieces that you're going to need. But I think the very first thing you need to do is, one, you need to decide who you're going to serve. And I don't know. I think that marketing, and especially internet marketing, it can really get a bad rap. But I think that it can absolutely be done right, as long as you make sure that you are going out and looking to serve someone else. You're looking to serve a customer. You're looking to serve your tribe, and always keeping them top of mind. It will help you sleep a lot better at night. I can say that much for sure. And so, because if you just go out and you get, I want every single email address that I can get my hands on, it actually will backfire on you. It will not be worth your time or your money. For example, I've given away things like, Nintendo Switches and iPads in the past. And the problem with doing that is it does not serve my audience. It does not serve my tribe of Amazon sellers. It really is, everybody wants a free iPad. And so 99% of those emails I had to throw away, because they got out onto Twitter or wherever, and you get hundreds and hundreds of people to sign up, but they're all garbage emails.
Right.
So make sure that you have an avatar in mind of who you want to be in your tribe. I want people who are between the ages of 25 and 45. Typically, they're married. Typically, they have a family. Typically, they're working a 9 to 5, but they either want an income on the side, or they want to be able to, tell the man that I'm not going to be under your thumb anymore, and go do their own thing. That's who I'm looking to serve.
Right.
And then after that, it becomes a lot easier, because you learn what your tribe needs. You learn what kind of things that they're hungry for. And then you go and you create the best thing, whatever it is your audience needs, you create the best for them, whether it's education or software or a physical product or whatever it is. You create the best one for them. And then when you take it to them, they're usually pretty happy to reward you by purchasing it.
Yeah, I know. Excuse me. I know a lot of people, in the e-commerce space, we had talked about, sorry, I'm going to mute for a second. Remember I said last week that I was over that cough? Well,
was that all a cough? Or
did
you sneeze sporadically? Because it looked painful.
Whatever
you were doing did not look fun.
It wasn't fun. No, I was coughing. Well, what I wanted to say was there's a lot of people that come into print on demand because, and let's just be real, it can be a really low barrier of entry because of course you don't have to hold any physical inventory. It's pretty simple. You don't have to have a lot of cash on hand because you can pay for your blanks with the money that comes in when it actually comes in. So that's true to an extent. Now, but the next level, if you really want to be successful in any business, you need to go where people aren't, and I think that's one of the reasons that we've brought you on here, Chris, because some of these ideas that we're talking about, they're not just kind of beginner run-of-the-mill ideas. They're advanced ideas. And they're things that, even Josiah was like, I hadn't really thought of that. That's a great idea. And we hope to present that to people. But I think that, so in that spirit, I think it would be cool if we could give them some more ideas. I wanted to maybe talk about kind of that free t-shirt idea, that we were going, or that we were listening to that one gentleman talk about on Clubhouse a while back. Do you remember it, Chris, really well to where you could articulate it really well? I kind of remember it enough to maybe jog your memory if you don't, but if you do, go ahead and take a stab at it and
jog my memory a little bit. I know that the free t-shirt was kind of the lead magnet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So was that kind of same thing with, it was kind of that same thing with find a vertical, maybe it's pets or something like that, that you're interested in. Obviously, I would not recommend necessarily going into a niche that you're, not super excited about because you'll get bored with it. But if you like pets, if you have pets, if you enjoy different dog breeds or something like that, maybe that's a good one for you. And so you go into that niche, you basically have kind of what Chris was talking about, this funnel idea to where you're building a tribe and so you're trying to get emails. And so one idea for getting emails, and this is also, I will say, also something you can present to another marketer who already has an audience to get more emails that aren't throwaway emails because you're going to be presenting this t-shirt that is in their niche. And so only people that really like dogs or, like an Australian Shepherd, for instance, or whatever, are going to be interested in this promotion. And so, Chris, how would you go about setting that up with, using that kind of, an Australian Shepherd group or something on Facebook? What's the next step to kind of maybe market that, use POD to gain email addresses? How would you go about that?
And so if I were going to do that, I would really, really niche down. So, you mentioned Australian Shepherd. I would maybe like a Beagle or something like that. I would go after one breed, and then I would create something, amazing. I would want the shirt to be something that I am a dog lover, but I am also not a person who wears like I'm a dog dad t-shirts.
Sure.
So I would want to go out and I would want to create something that even the, closeted Beagle lover would want to wear. Okay. And I think that would be your first step. It can't just be anything, you got to catch eyeballs. You got to, if you're doing Facebook ads, you need something that is going to stop the scroll. That is a marketing term for getting people to stop for a moment, at least look at your ad. So that would be number one. Number two, I really do think that you need to have a plan in place because you can't you can't make a living giving away free t-shirts. So you need to figure out, well, what is step 2 after the t-shirt, so that eventually you can at least break even or make a little bit of money. And maybe it is a training course specific to Beagles. Beagles are, I don't have a Beagle. I got a big horse of a dog. But I believe Beagles are yappy. So maybe you have, 3 secrets to shutting your beagle up, and you have that on the back end. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then go find out where your tribe is already hanging out. They're probably in Facebook groups.
Yeah.
They're probably in Reddit threads or subreddits. I need to use the term properly. Someone's going to tell me I'm wrong. And there are probably other places that they hang out. And if you can then go there, find out what kind of language they're using, find out what your avatar really looks like. Like, am I the avatar? Or is it the 50-year-old single woman, with 3 beagles? Like, who are you marketing to? And then go give them something that they want. And that could be a free T-shirt on the lead-in that they absolutely want to have. And then you're going to get a name, you're going to get an email address, you're going to get a physical address, which can be important as well, because you could market with lumpy mail later on, to sell a product. And then eventually you're going to want to offer them something else once you have that email, so that you actually make some money back. High margin would be a course, but maybe it's also maybe it's a doggy poo bag holder that's customized, or whatever, So, but yeah, have a plan for what's next, because you are going to need to sell something.
Yeah, I think, one thing you could do as a print-on-demand seller is partner with somebody who already does have a course, that already does have a niche, and bring this idea to them. Hey, let's give away a free T-shirt. You take a little bit on the T-shirt, and then they build their list, because anybody who buys their course is going to, spend $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So they're not worried about, the $10 that they spent with you to buy a T-shirt or whatever it is. And you just make your little money on all, and you take all the orders and you do all the work, and then you make, however many, maybe they get 1,000 people that want this shirt. Well, that's not a small amount. And you take that little cut, they get 1,000 more people that are qualified, that are in their niche, to then sell their $1,000 product to. It makes a lot of sense for them, and it makes a lot of sense for you. And I think that's kind of the idea. Again, these are just thoughts and ideas that we want to kind of present to our audience as, wow, I hadn't thought of pod, print on demand in that way.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If someone came to me and was like, you know what, actually, if you guys came to me tomorrow and were like, you know what, I really liked the intro where you said you're the world's okayest Amazon seller. Let's make that into like a really awesome shirt. I'd be like, oh, you know what, let's do it. I'll pay you guys for each one, and I'll give them away for free to our Facebook group. And grab all those emails. I would absolutely do that.
Yeah. And I like this idea too. And because Travis, you keep bringing it up as well, is find someone that has a course, find someone that's a marketer, and just do what you as a print on demand provider, as a T-shirt designer, what you are the best at, instead of trying to build it all from the ground up of like, oh, well, great. Now I got to research on how to shut up a beagle if I want to go on the next step of this thing. You could just, find someone that already has 5 beagles that are impeccably silent. So, and leverage their knowledge. But I love that idea, because there's lots of synergy there, and working with other people. And it makes it beneficial for everybody. Because like you just said, Chris, you're all in on that idea. So there's other people out there that are going to be equally as bought into the idea of like, yeah, absolutely.
You're going to get 100 emails.
People to get,
you're going to get 100 emails, Chris.
Yeah.
When this episode comes out, you're going to get 100 emails soliciting you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we're actually going to dox you. We have your address. So Travis didn't tell you that, but there's people pulling up. I've got 6 beagles. So you're going to become the beagle whisperer, and you had no intention of being that when you got here.
All right. Well, we we've gone a little while. Let's jump into the magic questions. And so these are questions that we ask all of our print on demand or all of our guests on the print on demand cast. And being that you are not in print on demand, these are going to be extra special challenging to you, Chris.
All right.
I mean, not all of them are POD related, but let's just jump in. Tell us about a time when something happened in your business that felt like a failure.
Oh, that's a great one. Well, actually, you know what? I was just recently suspended from Amazon. Yeah. That felt like I failed because I know better. I know what not to do. I know, all the things that typically get you tripped up to get suspended. And in the 10 years I've had an Amazon account, I've never been suspended.
Wow.
And it was right in the middle of the one vacation I take every year. And
of course,
you wake up and that's a horrible email to get. So that did feel like a failure, especially since it took like 2 months to get my account reinstated. But it wasn't really my fault. It was a change that was made that I didn't know about, but there is my failure. I did not make sure that I had my finger on the tiniest little pulse of something that Amazon started doing, and they got me.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That is not a unique story.
Yeah, I was going to say you're not the only one that didn't. It was probably a pulse that didn't exist the night before, and then just suddenly started beating. So
I know. I'll tell you exactly what it was. It was an associated account. So I had shipped a gift to a friend that we have, whose account has been suspended. And Amazon then started taking all the addresses from your buyer account and importing them into your seller account. And,
wow.
And so I got someone's address who had been suspended in my seller account. And they're like, oh, you guys must work together since you sent their kid a birthday present. And they suspended me for an associated account.
Well, that'll learn you about sending people birthday presents.
Yeah.
How dare
I'm
you,
not
Chris?
sending people gifts ever again.
Chris, you've mentioned another Chris quite frequently, or not, you name dropped him like twice, and that's probably why he'll watch the episode. But Chris Green, you mentioned him a couple times, but throughout your entire career, as you've been on this journey, how important have mentoring relationships and training been, and who are some of those people that you look up to in the space that you're in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that mentoring is the absolute biggest return on your investment that you can make, whether it is something you pay for, whether it is something that you earn from what you do in return or what you do for somebody else, or whatever. I'll be honest, when I first got started in the e-commerce space, I reached out to people and I said, listen, I will come and work for you for free. I will provide my own transportation, but I would like to, sit and learn, at the feet of someone who is ahead of me. And I tried, nobody took me up on it. And I probably thought I was a little weird, but I was willing to go that far to make sure that I knew what I needed to know to become successful. So mentoring is huge. And there are several people who I would shout out here. Chris Green, of course. Nate McAllister is a good friend of mine and a mentor. He's taught me a ton of things about marketing and selling and copywriting, and all doing it in a way where you can still, sleep at night. You can look yourself in the mirror. Travis has been a sounding board and a friend for a long time in the e-commerce and pod space that I've been able to bounce questions off of. Paul Witter has been a good friend and somebody I can go to if I have a question about something that I'm not sure about. And I'm sure there's other people I'm going to miss, but those guys for sure.
That's cool. I still remember the first time I met you was in Vegas at an ASD. And I believe that was the first time I met you, and you were kind of tagging along with Nate, and because he was coming there to kind of network, and you were like, "Well, I want to get in with Nate." And you had a previous relationship. He'd even name dropped you to me, but prior to that. But I mean, that goes to show you were like willing to even travel to Las Vegas. I think you were living in Ohio at the time. Yeah. But yeah, travel to Las Vegas just to be around people, and we talk about, that's why we did the Rocky Mountain Reseller Conference. We're talking about doing something in the LA region, Huntington Beach for ISS in January, and just being around these people, that's a huge thing. I think you said it really well.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So that first ASD where we met, I was so unsure of myself and wasn't sure, should I really go and do this? Like, I actually didn't buy a ticket to go to Las Vegas until about 2 a.m, the morning of going to ASD. But I credit my wife. She's like, listen, it's important, it's important to make relationships, important to have contacts and learn from people that you're interested in learning from. She's like, buy the ticket and get on the plane and go. And so, and the rest is history. It's probably the best investment I ever made.
Wow. That's awesome. Wow. High praise. All right,
Travis, should we do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
One more. Okay. Well, this is one that we ask everybody, Chris. So we call it our crystal ball question. Mm-hmm. What do you think? What's your opinion on what the future of print on demand is?
That is a great question. So being somebody on the outside who, doesn't necessarily keep my finger on the pulse of the print on demand industry like I probably should, I would imagine that there is a really bright future for a lot of reasons. Number one, a huge part of the fashion industry is moving toward sustainability. And you're seeing that in the renaissance of the resale market, which is going to be, $6 or $7 billion this year. It's becoming massive. But on the front end, I think a huge advantage that Pod has over, other fashion is that you don't have to make more than you might sell. And so I was actually reading an article the other day, and it was talking about how we are inundating countries, like Africa, India, with all of the things that we make for Americans, and then they end up never being sold. Well, sure. If we were able to move to more of a print on demand kind of, business, you wouldn't have all that left over. Sure.
Right.
You guys have to buy blanks and things like that. And you've got to keep all that on stock. But a blank, is not something that you have to get rid of when the season changes. You just change the design that you're going to put on the blank. And so I think it could probably do a lot in the fact that you'd be a lot greener, a lot more sustainable than a regular old fashioned house.
Yeah. I'd read somewhere that, the losing Super Bowl team, like they print shirts for both teams, obviously, because they have to have them on hand. But the team that loses, all of those hats and shirts and whatever, all go to those countries that you mentioned, because there's no use for them here now. But just think about the number of shirts that are already pre-made and then just, for lack of a better term, discarded because you can't use them here in America. But that is such a high volume. I don't know how print on demand would solve that particular case, but that just goes to show there is a lot of that happening for sure.
What I'd like to know is who is eating on the commemorative plate of the loser of the Super Bowl from last year. Where did those go?
Yeah, right.
You guys are really hurting.
Travis tried to get the ones from last year because he probably has a couple chief plates in there that.
I would love to get all of that gear from, so I guess I'll be traveling to, some foreign country where they dump all this crap and all my Chiefs, all these kids running around in Chiefs t-shirts and Chiefs hats.
Eating off Chief plates.
Yeah, Chief plates, drinking out of Chief beer mugs and koozies. And yes, you just use all the shirts to dry all of your tears.
Well, Chris, this has been a lot of fun, man. It's always good to talk to you. I always enjoy our conversations because you're just really, you're smart. You've got your finger on the pulse of a lot of different things. I don't sell on Amazon as far as like physical products and arbitrage and those types of things anymore. I guess I still have some private label products that I sell, and then of course I sell print on demand. But I still subscribe to your 5 Things Friday email, that you send out, just kind of hey, this is what's going on in Amazon, things you should be aware of. It's a great email. I would encourage all of our listeners to jump on that list. Even if you don't sell, again, physical products, you're just doing print on demand. It's a good email to have to kind of keep your finger on the pulse of Amazon. But beyond that, you've got an incredible course that you've been doing for quite a while. And I see all of the people that talk about how great the OA Challenge is. And I see the glowing reviews that you guys have. Can you talk to us a little bit about the OA Challenge? Because I know, obviously it's not necessarily pod focused, but it's something that you do. You do an excellent job. And again, it's perhaps another way that some of our listeners could maybe make a little extra money on the side to invest in something that, they care about. So share a little bit about the OA Challenge, and then we'll kind of tell them how they can get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So the OA Challenge would not exist if it weren't for Chris and Nate really pushing to make it happen. So I appreciate those guys for that. And they do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and I'm the one who does the teaching. And so essentially we go through 14 days, soup to nuts, kind of what you need to know to be dangerous on Amazon. And the biggest portion of that is mastering Keepa, because if you can master Keepa, then you can have a much better chance of being able to prognosticate what's going to happen in the future to a product that you arbitrage on Amazon. And then there are also a bunch of ways that you can use Keepa to source and do all kinds of really fancy stuff. And we dig into all of that. And then we learn how to source manually, and I'm talking open up a web page on the left side of your screen, open up Amazon on the right, and we just start searching back and forth until we hit a winner. We learn how to use levers like tactical arbitrage to make sure to be able to know how to find 10 or 20 products in the time it might take us to find maybe one product or even no products with manual sourcing. And then we talk a little bit about the business side where, and it's really the fundamentals. I think that, I want people to be John Stockton of Amazon. I don't necessarily want people to be Allen Iverson. I want them to be able to make those layups over and over and over again, because that's how you build a solid business, And so we go over those kind of things, putting in your reps. We figure out what it takes to build a real sustainable business with replens and, all kinds of cool stuff. So it's been an absolute pleasure being able to do the OA Challenge and seeing some of the people who come out of it and, grow their business, and some people who started after the OA Challenge and now are making, several thousand or even tens of thousands of dollars a month. It's been just one of the best feelings to, have just a little bit of something to do with those people's success.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Chris was kind enough to give us a link to offer to you guys as an affiliate. So if you do go through the OA Challenge through this link, we'll get a little kickback. It's printondemandcast.com/OA Challenge. And if you're interested in that, that's awesome. Go check it out. See if it's for you. If it's not, if you're, really focus on the POD, that's totally cool too. We just wanted to put it out there as an option, something that Chris has really kind of made a name for himself in the Amazon space with. And it's because it's such a quality product. It's such a quality course. And he's done such a good job with it. And you can tell just by the little time that we spent here today that he knows a little bit about marketing. And you can tell just by listening to him, you know, I want to hear Chris talk more. You know, he's just got such an even keel voice. He's a teacher at heart, you know, and you could tell. And that, I think that, you know, that that's part of your success is that, you know, people do trust you. And, you know, and I can say I've known you for a lot of years, and you've done so many things, you know, just out of the kindness of your heart for me and for several of the people I know. I know that you're a trustworthy guy and you're a good dude. So thanks again for coming on the show. Josiah, do you have anything else you want to ask Chris before we let him go?
No, man. Thank you so much though for coming on the show. It's been great to kind of sit under your learning tree. And, you know, Travis and I always say we're the first listeners whenever we interview folks. So it's been awesome to hear your expertise, your advice, your insight. One thing though, before we let you go, if people want to follow you, get in touch with you, find out more about OA Challenge, all of that kind of stuff, let them know where they can find you, your social media, username tags, all that kind of stuff, and then we'll wrap it up.
I am at Clear the Shelf pretty much everywhere. You'll find me on Facebook at Clear the Shelf. Find me on Instagram at Clear the Shelf. You can check out my blog at cleartheshelf.com. And I'm in most FBA Facebook groups. Mm-hmm. So if you go to one of those and throw a stone or tag me in something, I will most likely respond.
That's awesome. Well, Chris, thanks so much, man. We look forward to having you back on the show in the future. We always say that, you know, we look forward to maybe one day eventually having like a Print on Demand cast get together with some of our favorite guests and listeners and just kind of have a weekend together. If that happens, you were on the list for sure. We will let you know. It'd be great to get with you in person and hang out and talk some more shop. So thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our interview with Chris. And was the dad joke worth it, or was the dad joke worth it? One of my favorites. I've already posted it to all of the social medias because I couldn't stop laughing. But Travis, how do you think the interview went, man? I feel like there was lots of good stuff in there. So yeah, give us your feedback as to how you thought things went.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you listen to the interview, you know, I'm a huge Chris Grant fan. I really, really appreciate that dude. He's just always gone out of his way to, like, you know, there have been many times when I'm like, hey, I've got an idea. Let me bounce it off you. And he's like, sure, right now, let's do it. You know, and he's very open, just super helpful. He's, you know, he sent me things in the mail, you know, just like gifts and things like that. And I mean, he's just a really good friend. And so he's had incredible success in the e-commerce space. And I think some of the things that he shared about how to use print on demand in kind of advanced ways were really cool. And there may be a small segment of our audience that had thought about those things, but I'll bet there's a lot of people that weren't even thinking of those, you know, kind of some of those ideas. So I'm glad that he, you know, shared some of that stuff. I love the idea of partnering with a marketer and trying to use some of our print on demand knowledge to help them and, you know, simultaneously helping us. So yeah, I was really pleased with the interview. I thought it went really good. And like I say, I love hanging out with Chris. He's just such a cool guy, so even keel. I can tell why people really love the OA Challenge. They love it because he's just so easy to listen to. He's so trustworthy. He's so, like you say, even keel. He's just a good dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree. The idea of partnering multiple times, we've brought up this today in the interview, partnering with someone to lend your expertise to their expertise to make it mutually beneficial for both parties. And although that might be kind of an advanced idea, only in the regard of not a lot of people have thought about that, using POD in that sense, whether it is your drop shipping or not, that you can make that happen but it's still a low barrier of entry. You can open a Printful account and partner with someone and make that happen for that person the same way that you could as if you're doing in-house production, right? So, still very, very doable, even if you're at that beginning stage of the POD journey. And it was really, really great to listen to Chris and get, because like, you alluded to in the interview, you and I actually, this wasn't in the interview. It was when we were talking post with him, but you and I, our strengths aren't always in the marketing aspect of this, of the business. Right. And it's good to be aware of your shortcomings. We do it because we have to, and it's a necessity, and we have to get it done, and we have to market ourselves, and the companies that we represent, but it's not necessarily our wheelhouse like it is Chris's. And just listening to those ideas was phenomenal. So
it was great having him on. Just want to encourage our listeners, check out printondemandcast.com/OA challenge. If you're interested, again, if you're not, that's totally cool. I know it's not a POD specific product, but it has, as many 5-star reviews as the Print on Demand cast in and of itself has. Ooh, nice transition there.
Look at that.
But all I'm saying is that people that have taken that, that are interested in it, have really benefited from it. So if that's up your alley, check it out. If not, totally cool. It is an affiliate link, so we do get a commission if you actually end up taking the OA challenge and actually purchasing that. We do, it comes back to the Print on Demand cast, and we'll preemptively say thank you.
Yes, thank you in advance for and stuff like this though. With this kind of affiliate stuff, it's because Travis and I genuinely believe in the value that it brings. And so it is an investment in yourself, an investment into your business, an investment into your income, into your knowledge. And then it is also an investment into our show, kind of on the back end, which helps us keep doing what we love to do each and every week, and sit down and chat and talk shop with you guys listening. So thank you guys so much for being here again. Episode 60. We're 40 away from episode 100, which is also kind of cool to think about. So the long road to episode 100, but we will get there in 40 more weeks. Nonetheless, folks, thank you guys so much for listening. As always, if you are listening, we on Apple Podcasts, I believe that's what the app is called now, Apple Podcasts, or the podcast app on Apple. Please take time and leave us a 5-star review. You don't even have to say anything. You don't have to type anything, just 5 stars. But if you do say something, we will like you that much more. Just kidding. We love all of you equally. So, but yes, leave us a 5-star review. And of course, the best way to interact with us, to ask us questions, ask questions of our guests, whatever it is you want to do, printondemandcast.com/Facebook is the best way to get that done. Join the community, join the family, join the conversation. We love to have you guys. And I love seeing there has been some more activity in that group in the last couple of weeks, which is awesome to see. So please keep your questions coming. If you find something that you think is interesting, post it in the group. Have a question, post it in the group. Have a dad joke, post it in the group. So we just want to interact with you guys more. So thank you guys so much for that as well. You can also email us, info@printondemandcast. If Facebook isn't your thing, if social media is not your vibe, I totally understand that. You can reach us through email as well. Again, that's info@printondemandcast.com. So Travis, anything else?
Yeah, I'll just let you guys know, Chris Grant is in our Facebook group. So if you do have a question for him, feel free to tag him in the group.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, Chris, what do you think about this idea or whatever? Yeah, he's in the Print on Demand Cast Facebook group. Just wanted to throw that out. And appreciate you all, guys. Appreciate you listening.
Yeah, absolutely. So do tag Chris if you have a question. It's probably the easiest, fastest way to get a hold of him, but also follow him on his social media channels as well. So with that being said, for Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next time right here on the Print on Demand Cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe, thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.
Okay, I almost called him Chris Green. That's why I stopped.
I thought that. I honestly thought.
Grant. Green. Hi, Chris Green. He's a nice guy. He knows what he's talking about. Chris Green. Okay. Now time for the outro.